Okay, so Module 2 is about the radiological quantities and units. So in this presentation, we will be discussing the different radiological quantities and units. Ano yung mga categories ng radiological quantities and their corresponding units. Okay. So how do we measure radiation? Paano nga ba natin mini-measure ang radiation? Okay. So we measure radiation by use of certain quantities, formulas, and also may mga tools na ginagamit. Okay? So, in radiation dose and measurements, meron tayong mga quantities na tinatawag. So, we have radiometric quantities. Okay, these quantities describes the radiation field in terms of particles or rays or both, and the quantity of ionization produced. That is radiometric quantities. Okay, and the second one is dosimetric quantities. So dosimetric quantities are measurements of the effects produced by radiation dose. Okay, and it also applies to the amount of energy deposited when radiation passes through a specific material. Okay? So yan yung types of quantities. At meron pa isa yung operational quantities. So ito yung mga nakapaloob sa radiometric quantities and dosimetric quantities. So for radiometric quantities, we have energy, fluence, okay, exposure, and kerma. So na-encounter nyo na ba yung mga terms na yan? Or do you have any idea kung ano ba yung mga terms na yan? Okay, ano yung fluence? Well, we will see in the following slide. Okay. So first of the radiometric quantities is energy. So the SI unit for energy is joules, represented by a capital letter J. So energy of ionizing radiation is measured in terms of electron volts. Diba? Lagi nating ginagamit yan sa ionizing radiation, electron volts. So 1 electron volts is equal to 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19 joules. So, ang isang electron volt daw ay amount ng energy na nag-gain ng isang electron kapag ito ay nag-accelerate. Okay? Sa pamamagitan ng energy potential na kanyang difference sa isang voltahe. Okay? Kaya siya ay EV. So paano kung kuhain ng electron volts? So itatimes mo lang yung potential energy sa voltahe. Doon sa yung potential energy ng electron doon sa voltage, so you get electron volts. And 1 electron volt nga is equivalent to 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19 joules. So energy yan. Okay, fluence. So fluence is the number of photons passing through a particular unit area. Diba? Fluence, photons. Ano ba ang group of photons? Ano ba ang tawag sa group of photons? Ano ang tawag sa group of photons? Naalala nyo ba? So a bundle of energy or a bundle of photons, a bundle of energy or a bundle of fluence is called photon. Baliktad pala. A number of photons or number of energy is called fluence. A group of photons is called fluence. Okay. So, yung fluence, measured siya in particles per square meter. Okay? So, the fluence rate is the number of particles passing through unit area in unit time. So, particles per square meter, and ang kanyang unit ay m negative squared. Okay, that is the unit for fluence. Now we move to exposure. Okay, so exposure is the amount of ionization produced in air. It is ang kanyang original unit ay Röntgen. Okay? Pero siya ay pinalitan na ng SI unit na coulomb per kilogram. Okay. So therefore, ang kanyang conversion is 1 Röntgen equals 2.5 per 10 times 10 to the negative 4 coulomb per kilogram of air. So exposure. At ang symbol ng exposure ay letter X, capital letter X. Yung Röntgen naman na unit ay capital letter R, and coulomb per kilogram is capital letter C over kilogram or kg. Okay? So again, exposure, pag sinabi exposure, it is the radiation or ionization of air. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo dyan sa nakalagay dyan na equivalent is laging may kadugtong na of air. Because doon sinusukat yung exposure. Kung gaano karami yung na-ionize in air. Okay. So, kasi it is one of the characteristics of X-ray that X-rays can ionize air. Okay? Kaya nga yung kanyang speed ay yung kanyang speed na velocity of light, it is only in a vacuum. Sa vacuum lang siya. Okay? Kapag may air na, so maaaring mabawasan yung kanyang speed kasi magkakaroon ng interaction with the atoms present in the air. Then, next is kerma. Kerma is a quantity, okay, na ang ibig sabihin ay kinetic energy released per unit of mass absorber, kerma. So siya ay measure ng kinetic energy of charged particles. Okay? So produced in absorbing medium by uncharged radiation. So example ay photons and neutrons. At ang kanyang unit is gray. Okay. And 1 gray is equivalent to 1 joule per kilogram. Okay. So, itong karma, kadalasan ay napapagpalit yung karma sa exposure. However, you must remember that pag sinabi exposure, ito ay ionization produced in air. Pero ang karma ay kinetic energy produced in absorbing medium. Okay? So medium, not only air. Kasi ang air can be considered as a medium. However, air is not the only medium that radiation can pass through. Okay? So maraming types of media. Okay? Okay. Pero meron din kasi tayong tinatawag na air karma. Air karma. Okay? At ang unit ng air karma ay gray. Hindi siya Röntgen or coulomb per kilogram. Siya ay gray. Though may term na air, pero siya ay karma. Kinetic energy, not ionization. Okay? So yan, for X-ray and gamma rays energy up to 1 mega electron volts, the interaction which takes place between radiation and the particle of air are nearly the same. So exposure measurement equals karma measurement. So anong ibig sabihin? Yung karma and yung exposure ay equal. Let's say, nag-compute kayo at ang lumabas sa inyong computation is 2.6 Röntgen. Okay? 2.6 Röntgen. So what will you do? Ano ang gagawin mo? Ano ang gagawin mo? Paano mo kukunin yung katumbas na nakarma? Okay. So, sige later. Ibitin muna natin yan. May mga computations tayo later. Okay. So, remember exposure measurement ay equal sa karma measurement. Kapag ito ay sa air. Okay. So, X-ray and gamma rays energy above 1 mega electron volts ay magkakaroon ng different measurement of air karma compared with exposure. So yung equal lang ay kapag 1 mega electron volts below. Kapag lumampas na siya ng more than 1 mega electron volts, so there will be difference in the measurement of air karma and exposure. Okay, clear po tayo? So ito yung summary ng radiometric quantities. The quantity, the symbol, the SI unit. Okay? Then conversion. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. So we already are done with the radiometric quantities. Now we move to the dosimetric quantities. Okay, absorb dose. Okay, so absorb dose. Okay, so medyo madaling intindihin kasi ayan, sinabi na agad absorb dose. So meaning these are radiation dose that are deposited in any medium. Okay, by any type of radiation. So meaning siya ay na-absorb. Kung may absorption, may energy na na-deposit. Okay. And the unit for this is gray. And 1 gray is equal to 100 rad. Ang old unit or traditional unit ng absorbed dose is rad. Ang ibig sabihin ng rad, radiation absorbed dose. Okay? Clear po ba with the absorbed dose? Okay. Next, we proceed to the equivalent dose. Equivalent dose can be identified with the use of capital letter H. So kung kanina, yung absorbed dose daw ay nagsasabi sa atin kung gaano karami yung na-deposit na energy dahil may na-absorb na radiation. Okay? Ang equivalent dose naman ay nagme-measure ng biological effect ng particular radiation type on organs and tissue. So yung kasing absorbed dose, yung dose lang ang mine-measure. It does not measure any or it does not measure damage to the biological tissues. Nor it indicate the level of possible injury. So, dito papasok yung equivalent dose. Okay. So, ayan. Yung equivalent dose, meron siyang measurement ng biological effect for each type of radiation at for each location. Okay? So, location, tissues, and organs, for specific tissues and organs. Okay. So, paano makukuha ang equivalent dose? So, equivalent dose can be measured by multiplying the absorbed dose of an organ or tissue. Anong measurement niya? Gray kasi absorbed dose. By the dimensionless factor called radiation weighting factor or WR. So ano ba yung radiation weighting factor? Na-encounter nyo ba siya sa book? Ang tawag yata sa book is tissue weighing factor. Okay. So, in order for us to get the effective dose, effective dose tuloy, equivalent dose, i-multiply natin yung absorbed dose sa tissue weighing factor. So, ano ba example ng tissue weighing factor natin? Let me check. Okay. So, tissue weighing factor natin, for gonads, it is 0.2 or 0.20. Active bone marrow is 0.12. Colon 0.12. Lung, stomach 0.12. bladder, breast, esophagus, liver, thyroid ay 0.05. Bone surface and skin ay 0.01. So example natin, meron tayong absorb dose na 5 meron tayong absorb dose na 5 gray. Then paano natin or ano ang kanyang equivalent dose? Ano ang kanyang equivalent dose kapag ang tinatanong ay lungs? So anong gagawin mo? Ita-times mo yung 5 gray sa 0.12. So yung product nun, that will be the answer. That is the equivalent dose. Okay. And the equivalent dose is, ang kanyang SI unit is sievert. Okay. So 1 gray is equivalent to 1 sievert. And 1 sievert is also equivalent to 1 joule per kilogram. Okay? May question po ba sa equivalent dose? Okay? So next is the effective dose. Effective dose ay ang symbol niya is capital letter E. Okay. Some tissues and body organs are more sensitive to radiation than others, and an equivalent dose in one organ may be more hazardous than the same equivalent dose in another organ. So meaning each organ have their own radiosensitivity. Okay, the more radiosensitive an organ is, okay, the more it is prone to radiation exposure even in low doses. Ibig sabihin kahit low doses siya, kung siya ay mataas ang radiosensitivity ng organ na yon, ibig sabihin ay it can cause damage compared to another organ na mataas ang kanyang radiosensitivity. Okay? So again, dito tinitake into consideration ulit yung tissue weighing factor. So, effective dose, ang unit pa rin niya is sievert. Okay? So yan yung binabanggit ko kanina na ang mga equivalent value ng tissue weighing factor. So, naka-table siya sa Busion. So, you can easily see that in your book na naka-table yung tissue weighing
Yes.
factor. Yes po.
Then, we po ba ang tissue weighing factor ng thyroid po?
Isa lang ang tissue weighing factor ng thyroid. Teka, wait nga. Ano bang tissue weighing factor sa book? Thyroid. Ayun. Siguro ano to? Round off yung nasa book. Kasi liver ganun din eh. 0.05 sa book. Pero sa dito sa picture, it is 0.04. Okay? So, probably may round off yung nasa book. Okay? So, ayan. Okay, same. Listahan. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, we will follow the one presented in the book, sa book natin. Okay? So, ito yung pag-compute ng equivalent dose. Equivalent. Effective dose. Okay. So, effective dose is equal to equivalent dose. Okay? Times the weighing tissue factor. Okay. So, dito, sa example dito, during the chest x-ray examination, delivered an equivalent dose of to the breast of 0.1 millisievert and to the lungs of 0.2 millisievert. So the effective dose is computed. So equivalent dose to the breast times tissue weighing factor to the breast plus equivalent dose to the lungs times times tissue weighing factor for the lungs. So 0.1 millisievert times 0.12 plus 0.2 millisievert times 0.12. Okay. So, ayan. Then we get the effective dose of 0.036 millisievert for the chest x-ray, for the lungs and the breast combined. Okay. Okay, so these are the dosimetric quantities again, with their quantity symbol as a unit and unit name. Sa yung kanila conversion to the traditional units. Okay? REM or REM, ano ibig sabihin? Ano ibig sabihin ng REM? So REM is used for the equivalent and effective dose, meaning they are used for the absorbed dose of the patient. So REM, ang ibig sabihin niya ay yun, radiation equivalent man. So tama si CJ. Okay? So tips to remember, when we say Röntgen, measure of how much you are exposed. Kasi it is a measurement of ionization in air. Rad or gray is how much you absorb. Then REM or Sievert how much damage it does. Okay? To simplify all the things that have been said, so yan yung basic na kailangan yung tandaan. Röntgen, gaano karami yung exposure? Okay? Yung rad or gray, gaano karami yung na-absorb? Kapag naman REM or sievert, gaano karaming damage yung mangyayari or possible na mangyari? Okay? So clear po ba? Okay, so let us continue. So these are the typical radiation doses in millisievert received in particular procedure or yung mga kung ano man yung naka-indicate. So one chest x-ray is 0.4 to 1.5 millisievert. Background radiation niya ay sa red forest at sa Chernobyl is 0.1 per hour. Okay? So mammogram is 1 to 3 millisievert. So as you can see, mas mataas ang radiation dose ng mammogram compared sa chest x-ray. Much more yung CT scan. Kasi 50 millisievert ang cranial CT or head CT compared sa isang chest x-ray na 0.4 to 1.5 millisievert only. Okay? So ayan ay yung mga doses at kung ano yung mga possible na pinanggalingan. So yung temporary na say blood cell changes sterility in males, so causes na yan ng 250 to 1,000 millisievert na dose. Okay, so typical output of X-ray sets. Okay, so ito yung mga ginagamit na machine and their filtration. Okay, so 50 kbp na X-ray machine with a beryllium window tube. Kaya kanyang output is 100 milligray per minute per MA at 1 minute. Okay. So usually naman tayo ay ang ginagamit nating tube is 100 to 150 kb. So depende sa level of the facility. Kapag level 3, usually umabot siya ng up to 300 kbp. Okay? So as you can see, pag tumaas yung kanyang filtration, bumababa yung kanyang output, yung output ng radiation dose. Okay? So, yung sa 300 kbp, 3 mm ng copper plus 1 mm of aluminum yung kanyang filter. Okay? Compared sa 100 kbp na 10 mm aluminum. Okay? So, mas mababa yung pinoproduce na exposure ng 300 kbp with 3 mm copper plus 1 mm aluminum filter. Okay, so babalikan natin yung mga radiation units. Okay. So baliktad pala ako kanina. Yung rad, yun yung received by the patient. Yung rem, yun yung sukat ng radiation na natatanggap ng radiation worker. Okay? Yan. So Röntgen measure of ionization, again, produced in air. Okay? Either by X radiation or gamma radiation below 3 million electron volts or 3 mega electron volts. Okay? So this unit, Röntgen and coulomb per kilogram, is the unit used also for the calibration of X-ray equipment. So bakit ito yung unit na ginagamit for the calibration of X-ray equipment? Okay. When we calibrate the X-ray machine, ang sinusukat dyan is how much ionization is produced. So therefore, it is only right to use Röntgen or or coulomb per kilogram na unit for the calibration of X-ray machines. Okay? So next is how much the patient. Okay, so SI unit niya is coulomb per kilogram. Okay, so and ang rad ay radiation absorbed dose. Old unit ng gray. Okay. So energy transfer of 1 ergs per gram of any absorbing material ang isang rad. So, ayan. Ang gagawin natin ngayon ay conversion tayo. Conversion ng mga units. Okay. So yung rem according to this slide, okay, so alam natin it's old unit for sievert. So it expresses equivalence dose or the equivalent dose or the absorbed dose times the quantity factor for radiation personnel monitoring. So it is also defined as the quantity of ionizing radiation that has the same biologic effectiveness of 1 rad of X-ray. Okay? So yun yung another definition ng REM. So siya ay quantity ng any ionizing radiation na nakaparehas ang biologic effectiveness ng isang rad ng X-ray. So that means 1 REM is equal to 1 rad. Okay? So 1 REM is equal to 1 rad. So therefore, 1 sievert is equal to 1 gray. Is it correct? So yung sagot natin, yung kaninang hinanging question natin, so ayun, yun na yung sagot. So 1 sievert is equivalent to 1 rad. So kung siya ay milligray or millisievert, so 1 millisievert equals to 1 milligray. Okay? Okay. So ito na nga. 1 sievert is equivalent to 100 rem. Okay? It is a unit that produces the same biological effect as 1 gray. Okay, so ayan. Then yung ating unit for radioactivity, okay, Curie and Becquerel. So Becquerel is defined as 1 radioactive decay per second, while Curie is based on the radioactivity of 1 gram of radium. Kaya siya ay 1 Curie equals 37 billion reaction per second, or 37 billion becquerel per second. Okay? Okay, so you can biological dose. Ito hindi natin na-discuss dun sa mga factors kanina or sa mga quantities. So biological dose is measured in sievert or rem. Okay, so 1 sievert is equal to Q times gray. Okay, for photons, X-ray, and gamma, ang equivalent ng Q or the fudge factor is 1. For beta emission, beta particle, 1 also. For low energy neutrons, 5. Medium energy neutrons, 20. High energy neutrons, 50. 50 yan, it's not 5. Okay? Then alpha, it's 20. Alpha particle. Okay? Okay, so this is the conversion of the following unit. Okay, from traditional to DSI unit. Okay, so 1 Röntgen, okay, para maging coulomb per kilogram siya, ita-times natin siya sa 2.58 times 10 to the negative 4. So you will get, of course, 2.58 times to the negative 4 coulomb per kilogram. Then 1 rad is equivalent to 100 gray. 1 rem, same, 100 sievert. Then Curie times 3.7 to the 10 power becquerel. So, yun din yung kanyang, so 37 billion. Okay. So, milliröntgen, millirad, millirem. Okay. So, ano ibig sabihin? 1 over 1,000 of Röntgen pag milli. Pag mega, it's 1 million. Okay. Pag micro, 1 million din. Yun nga lang negative. Pag positive kasi it is mega. Okay. So, 5 Röntgen is how many milliröntgen? So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan is 5 times 1,000. Then you will get the milliröntgen. Okay. Then 50 millirad is how many rad? Instead of multiplication, you will do division. Okay? Pwede ring multiplication, yun nga lang, i-multiply mo siya sa 0.001 instead of dividing 50 by 1,000. Okay? Okay, so same. So, ayan. Millirad can be multiplied by 0.0001 to convert to gray. Okay? So, however, if we follow, kung susundin natin yung proper way, so you have to do proper computation. Yun nga lang, pagdating sa board exam, hindi naman i-check yung iyong computation. Diba? Kasi multiple choices, so you just find the correct answer. Or, if not the correct answer, the best answer. The best answer, not correct answer. Kasi baka mamaya, baka pag nag-board exam na kayo, tinignan nyo yung inyong test paper, wala yung correct answer sa choices or baguhin ko yung statement, wala yung alam ninyo na correct answer sa choices. Baka lumapit kayo sa proctor nyo at sabihin na wala po yung tamang sagot sa choices. So, sasabihin lang naman sa inyo ng proctor nyo is, sagutan mo na lang, piliin mo yung best answer kasi, yun, basically, proctor lang siya. Tagabantay lang siya ng exam. And the one who made the exam ay yung Board of RadTech. Okay, and therefore, sila lang yung pwedeng magbago or magsabi na, ay oo nga, wala yung sagot sa choices. Pero hindi yun nangyayari. Kasi, lahat naman ng answer or choices na nilalagay ng board examiner ay lahat ng question may sagot. So, kung ano yung nandun sa choices, hanapin nyo na lang yung pinakamalapit doon sa alam nyong sagot. And that will be your answer. Yun, tip lang yan. Okay? So, ito mga conversion lang to. Okay? Okay. So, conversion. Okay. So, probably we will be having exercises or you will be given quizzes or quiz at least regarding the conversion of the units, conversion of units. Okay. Okay, so madali lang naman yung units conversion. Unless you have questions. So yan yung mga example problem. So if a geographer receives 30 rem over her lifetime, what is her lifetime dose in sievert? So 30 rem times 0.01 sievert. Kung gusto niyo ng more traditional way of solving it, so gawin natin. Okay? So this is rem. Ito ay sievert. Okay? over. Okay? So, ang katumbas ng 1 sievert ay nitong isang ng sievert na to ay ilang rem. Ulit nga. So we have 30 rem equal so ang isang sievert ay 1 sievert ay merong how many rem? 100. Tama ba 100 rem? Tama po ba? 100 rem nga ba?
Opo.
Okay. So 100 rem. So cancel natin si rem. Okay. Tapos divide natin yan. So magiging 0.01. Kasi tatimes na lang natin sa 30. So we get 0.3 millisievert. Okay? So madali lang yung conversion niya. Medyo mahirapan lang kayo sa conversion ng coulomb per kilogram and Röntgen sa ng radioactivity. Kasi scientific notation. Okay, baka magkamali kayo sa exponent kung negative ba yun or positive. So, just be careful. Okay? So, yan. So, question number 3 naman is, ang tanong is how many rem from 100 millisievert. So, first, ang gagawin is, ko-convert nyo muna siya sa millisievert. Or kukunin mo muna yung sagot into millisievert and then you will convert millirem sorry, ano bang hanap? Rem. Yun. Ko-convert mo muna pala siya or kukunin mo muna siya sa rem. Or kukunin mo muna siya sa kung siya ay millisievert, convert mo siya sa millirem. Saka mo siya i-convert sa sa rem, yung millirem to rem. Okay? Pero yung nakasulat kasi dito ay shortcut na. Sinortcut niya na from millisievert diretso sa rem. Okay? So kung ano yung gusto nyong gamitin na technique for the conversion, it's up to you. So as long as mapakita nyo yung conversion steps. At syempre tama yung sagot. Okay, so ito yung sa radioactivity naman. Okay. So again, wala tayong computation ng radioactivity. We only have computation of the conversion of units. Okay? So 10 curie is how many becquerel? Okay? So 10 times 3.7 times to the 10 to the positive 10. Okay, so syempre, magiging sagot lang niyan is madadagdagan siya ng another 0. So magiging siyang times 10 to the 11 power. However, kapag hindi by ones or by tens or hundreds ang given, so you have to really compute. Halimbawa, paano kung siya ay, ang binigay sa iyo ay, let's say, 243 Curie. So you have to compute that. At gagawin mo siyang becquerel. So dito naman sa letter B is kabaliktaran. So yung 1,000 becquerel gagawin mong Curie. So ang solution na pinakita dito, kung dun sa kanina ay multiplication, so when you convert becquerel to Curie, you will do division. So 1,000 divided by the value of 1 becquerel to 1 Curie to becquerel, which is yung value ng becquerel is 3.7 times 10 raised to the 10 power. Okay? Okay, so hindi na to kailangan. Okay? Do you have any questions? Okay, so ilan uli kayo? 20, 23 tama ba? 23 kayo. Okay, so I will be dividing you into two groups. Okay, so pakilista ng inyong groupings. Okay, so group 1, anin yun? Anin yun? Tumulak. Sebeldia. Caballeros. Perez. Enriquez. Manyuska. Gutierrez. Ilan na yung nasabi ko?
8 na po.
8. Hara. Luce. So ilan nga talaga kayo dito? 23, no? So yung isa 11, yung isa 12. And then for this group, last one is Escario. Okay, so yung hindi natawag, group 2. So anong gagawin? So you will be reporting for next meeting. Okay? Ano yung report? For group 1, you will be reporting about the personnel dosimetry. Personal dosimetry or personal detectors. Okay? And for group 2, you will be reporting area detectors or area monitors. So ano yung anong tungkol saan yan? That is about the radiation detection. Okay? So yung group 1, you will be reporting about the personal monitoring equipment na ginagamit on radiation detection, and group 2 ay area monitoring. Okay? So ano yung in-expect kong makita sa report? Ano-ano yung mga iba't ibang klase ng monitoring equipment? Okay, ano yung different characteristics nila na nagdi-differentiate from each other? Saan ginagamit ang isang particular na equipment? Meron ba siyang particular na radiation lang na nade-detect or wala ba siyang or lahat ba ng radiation na detect niya? Okay? So that's it. Yun lang ang kailangan nyo i-report. At syempre, bukod doon, nakalimutan ko, ano yung importance ng mga bagay na inire-report nyo? Let's say, yung personal monitoring. Ano importance niya? How about the area monitoring? Anong importance niya sa radiation protection? Okay? So reporting will be on Tuesday. You will be allotted with 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes each. Then after you report, so I will synthesize your report. Okay? So sa paghahanap ng sources, baka malula kayo kapag nakakita kayo ng mga formula. So, skip nyo lang yung formula. Pero kung gusto nyo basahin, you can try to read. Okay? Pero mahirap siya intindihin kung babasahin nyo siya, yung may mga formula. Anyhow, it is not, hindi ko naman nire-require yung mga formula na yun. So, yung binanggit ko lang na basic, yun lang yung kailangan nyo i-report. Kasi kailangan maging familiar kayo to the different monitoring equipment or devices. Okay? So, that ends our lecture for today. If there are no questions,